Well, in the admissions context, what herding wildcats means is that the nature of people in admissions, they tend not to respond. They do what they want. They go in off directions. A lot of people have ADD, or something like that, where their attention spans go on them. And there's so many external variables that are messing with these poor admissions folks. It's just so difficult to get people to work in lockstep in the admissions side of the education space. I think the obvious ones are like ego. You get admissions reps who are very successful, and it's like, don't be the boss of me, admissions trainer. You get all kinds of these crazy reasons. But I think you get new people, you get people who don't understand their business, the business that well. You get people who are just lacking skills, people who are lacking empathy. Maybe the underwriting reason is that people don't respond to admissions training because a lot of it is presented in a manipulative and salesy kind of way. And I think that really rubs a lot of people's core values the wrong way. When people really want to just counsel people and give them the best advice, but they're not, they're from on up high, they're told, get those asses in classes. And there's a values conflict there. And they, rather than just stating it and risk losing their job, instead, what they do is they just passively, aggressively resist the training. It's interesting, there's a stat I read recently that only 10% of any kind of admissions training is retained after 30 days. It's just the way it is. The answer is yeah, it has to be, because in the education space, there's this whole layer of regulation, and that can literally wipe out a school, take a school right off the map. Admissions counselors that exaggerate and false promise, they can be held to account, particularly in the US, and cascading lawsuits can put a school under very quickly. We've seen this on a number of occasions in the last few years. So the admissions counselors absolutely have to follow best practice. There's no wiggle room, because if they don't, can put the entire organization at risk of shutting down. That's how brittle and harsh this requirement that they have to follow best practice. Well, that's been what my partner Shane Sparks and I have been wrestling with for a long, long time. And about 2.5 years ago, we landed on a solution. And the solution was, people can't be trained, they can't be taught, they forget. The results are uneven. There are all kinds of variables as to why they don't follow best practice. So the best thing to do is just say, here's the force plus discipline, and follow it. So we've created a whole series of software pathways called Virtual Advisor that really just help admissions counselors focus on what the best practice is. And they follow through in this software process, asking best practice questions and best practice explorations, like who are your circle of friends that will help you in this life change, or things like what are your hopes and dreams, what are your goals, often that are just missed due to laziness or due to cutting corners. And so by forcing essentially the admissions counselor to follow each and every step, they protect the school by being compliant and creating best practice in every single interview and every single interaction that they have with a prospective student. Now, the bonus is that the increase from an interview to a start is the average at present is a 41% increase. It's a game-changing lift. 41% lift from interview to start. That's like taking a mediocre rep and adding 2 or 3 students per month per rep. So we have the software available to schools that want to try it on a pilot project basis. It's all guaranteed. If it doesn't work, you don't have to pay for it. No, not at this point. Just shift your paradigm thinking from trying to teach and train people that don't want to learn to just telling them that they have to follow best practice and giving them a forced discipline to pursue. That's all I would have to say as the insight for this little broadcast.